Hey everybody, Alex Kolakowski here with the Total BS Show and Prime Media Consulting. I am so excited. This week I have my friend Carol and neighbor Carol from Food Integrity Now, who has joined us. This is my first interview from the West Coast. So Carol, tell us a little bit about who you are and what is Food Integrity Now.
Okay, great. Thanks for having me, first of all. It's great to be on your show. And I'm Carol Grieve, and I am a holistic nutritionist and a life coach. And I also am I call it a radio show host. That's kind of the old school word. But I do podcasts now, and all about health and food, and been doing that about 10 years, the podcast.
That's awesome. So what were you doing before you got into nutrition and health and wellness and all that type of stuff?
Oh my God, former life, legal assistant, legal secretary, 23 years of the legal field, living in Dallas and then San Francisco for 11 years, and moved to Colorado and worked at a school for troubled boys. And so it's kind of a circuitous route back to leaving that job that was kind of, for me, the golden handcuffs, but I didn't enjoy it.
Sure.
And went back to school and became a life coach.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about the journey of starting your own company. I mean, the people that kind of watch this show every week, they love to hear, obviously success stories and all that type of stuff. And to be quite candid, we'll get into some of the interviews that you've had over the course of your career on your podcast. Great names. And you have thousands of people that they kind of listen to every week. But tell me a little bit about first getting started, because that's where a lot of small business owners have the trouble with the gears of finally getting them going. So tell me a little bit about what you did when you were first working on your business to talk about health and nutrition and coaching and all that type of stuff.
Well, when I transitioned out of a job I had been doing for years and years, I was at the top of my field, and 5 weeks paid vacation and all of that. And I started just coaching people on the side, but just kind of dabbling in it, not like, okay, this is not really a real business, I'll just do this. But what I found out, I was assisting people and coaching them to do what they loved in life, because I believe that's important. Do what you love. Don't just do it for the money. And I thought, I'm not really doing that. So I decided that I was going to leave this career after 23 years, and I made the decision, and I thought, I'll just figure it out. If I have to live off my 401k money, I'll do that. I'll figure it out. But I knew I had to do this, and it was not an easy transition, I will tell you.
So you have the whole adage of those that can't do right now, teach. And so you were teaching, and then finally you said, you know what, I'm going to do it myself.
Yeah, because I really wanted to be able to talk the talk and walk the walk.
Right.
And have the integrity. What I'm asking my clients to do, I needed to do that for myself.
And what typically is your client? Who would reach out to?
Okay, so back then I was just doing life coaching. I didn't have my nutrition degree. So people, life coaching is different than psychotherapy or psychology somewhat. People come to me that they're not happy. Maybe they're not sure why. They have a job that is going nowhere. They want better relationships. And they know they need to make some changes, but they feel like they need someone to help them, to kind of guide them through, hold them accountable to reach their goals, whatever it is they say they want to do. I talk to them basically on a weekly basis, and and help them obtain whatever it is they want to do in their life, and hold them accountable until they feel solid enough that they're just going to be able to do it on their own.
Sure. So, did someone kind of open the door to help you along the process, or did you kind of have to blow up yourself on minds every time that you were going through your path to start your business?
Well, to tell you the truth, I think I've been a life coach my whole life. People came to me a lot of times for advice. So I think I had that natural ability. And then when I went to school, I knew I did. And it was, I think the most difficult thing in getting started was just to get clients.
Yeah.
Because typically my business is word of mouth. Back then people didn't type in life coach and, pick one off the internet.
Right.
So it was a word of mouth thing. And, it took a while to build up my clientele.
Okay.
But then I want to just tell a brief story because it's kind of integral to this whole conversation. Right after I quit my job, and many people thought it was kind of nuts to leave everything I was leaving behind, I get a call from a friend of mine in Colorado, and he and his wife are opening up a residential school for troubled boys. And he said, well, since you just quit your job, why don't you come out here and help us open the school for a month? So I hopped in my little Mini Cooper and drove to the mountains of Colorado, and I fell in love with the school, and they offered me a full-time job as a parent life coach and enrollment director. So I lived in Sausalito, California at the time. Very beautiful area.
Oh yeah, I've been there. It's right over the bridge.
Yeah. And I had just remodeled my condo and everything, but there was no question that this is something I wanted to do. So I took that it took a leap of faith really to go, oh my God, I'm leaving behind all this familiar stuff to go to a state I'd never been in, to live at 9,200 elevation, out in the boonies. I lived, San Francisco for a while, Sausalito, that's city.
Yeah.
But I did it. And it was a great first step for me, because then I ended up having built-in clients, because when the boys came to the school, I would coach their parents. So that really helped me.
Sure. So, I mean, when someone says they're a life coach, I kind of get taken back a little bit because I hear stories, and I think everyone hears stories. Just like you hear something about a plumber, you hear something about a weight loss person. You hear, all over the place, and anyone can consider themselves a life coach if they've had a life. So, what is the true difference between what you do and some person that just says they're a life coach? Because there's a distinct difference.
There is. Well, I went to school, number one.
Right.
And then I was supervised for a while when I spoke with people.
Right.
So I had people who really knew what they were doing as my mentors.
Right.
And so that's number one. I think if somebody calls themselves a life coach, I think for the most part they have to have, in my book, they have to have some sort of training.
Sure.
You don't just, hang out your hat and say I'm a life coach. But that training can vary. And it is not psychology. And as a matter of fact, I've had people come to me before that I felt like, I think I'm going to refer them out to a therapist.
Yeah.
So you have to have that integrity to know when you're crossing the line.
Right. So, what's kind of the hardest thing of going after year one and gaining clients? You have a good Rolodex of clients now, but like, what was the hardest thing about owning a business today versus it was when you first started?
Well, it seems like it's easier now because I don't have to do things in person as much. And although I'd like to do things in person, so I do have one or two local clients that we see each other face to face.
Yeah.
But I think it's easier now because we have platforms like Skype and Zoom So I can have a face-to-face with them rather than just being on the telephone. And so I actually think it's easier now. And I tell everybody, and I really believe this, I think everybody needs a life coach.
Okay. Why?
Because, because unless you're super motivated, you know exactly everything you want, you know how to get it, you know the steps. If you know all of that stuff, then you don't need a life coach. But maybe there are times in your life where you're going through some stuff and you think, okay, I'm kind of lost right now, I need to know what my next step is. That's when a life coach can come in and brainstorm with you on getting you what you say you really want, and also looking at what are the blocks that are in the way,
Right.
that are keeping you from getting what you want.
Mm-hmm. I guess kind of the idea is, if we're left to our own devices as a civilization, we'll never get anywhere, because we have laziness, we have our own egos, we have everything that goes about it, and you need to have someone that's going to keep you in check. And whether it's
Yep.
and I think that that's one of the cool things about what you do, and your personality is awesome. I love talking to you because you have a very similar personality to me. It's boom, A, B, C, D. That's what you got to do, get shit done. And I appreciate that you're very much like my wife, who just says, Alex, do this, do that, just get it done, right? Versus the people that hem and haw and all around and all that type of stuff. So, and they never get anywhere. And so I appreciate your personality, and that's why I think people are drawn to you, is because you can sit with someone and say, okay, you've been successful, you've made millions of dollars, all that type of stuff. You also got to have someone to talk to, because most people that have that, as they grow in their business, their ego, not from personal experience, but from their ego, can say, I can do no wrong. I can hit all my different levels. I know exactly. And then once they crash, it's a harder crash than they've ever experienced before, because they've built themselves up so much. They've had no checks and balances along the way, and the burn is really hard to get over the next hurdle. I don't know if you would agree with
Yeah. Yeah, well, I do agree with you. And also, one of the primary issues, especially right now, that I work with people on is fear. And look at the environment we're in. There's a lot of fear. Fear, am I going to get sick? Am I going to have enough money? What's the economy going to do? So I assist people to work through that process of fear, which I don't think is necessary. I think because what you fear, you create. So even if somebody has made millions of dollars, they're sitting on, top of the world, they have all this money and they're doing great. There's a lot of people that are up there, but they have fear that they're going to lose that.
Yeah.
And if that fear is strong enough, guess what's going to happen?
Yeah. I mean,
they're going to lose it.
So we have a meeting every week. We call it Prime Power Partners in Chicago, and we host it. I get on early in the morning. I host that one, and part of the conversation last week was, what are you afraid of? And what was interesting is, I have a room of 30 business owners sitting in a room, and everyone has their own perspective, and it's very interesting to hear so many people say, I'm afraid of success. And what happens?
Very common.
And so it was very timely that you kind of were scheduled to be on the show, because that's something I wanted to talk to you about, is how many people do you see that's fear of, I'm going to put myself out there, and holy shit, what if it works?
Yeah. I think that fear is as big as fear of failure, fear of success. I think it's as big, because a lot of people, okay, if they're trying to create something and they fail and they start it, they learn something new and then they fail again, they kind of know what happens when they fail. But if they're successful, it's kind of this fear of, wow, now that I'm successful, what's going to look like?
Right.
I know what it feels like to fail, but I may not It's the unknown. It's kind of outside that comfort zone.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they know if if they have success, then it comes into, can I keep it? I'm going to be more seen. What if I'm in the limelight and I'm really not good enough and it's not going to last. There's all those kind of fears that we can address that many people have.
I think one of the common threads we talked about in that conversation was no one expects you to succeed. They don't care about you enough to really think that they want that you're going to succeed. So you failing as a business owner is just par for the course. Is because you're around a lot of other failures, and you're that's all people know is failures. It's the old adage of I think Dave Ramsey talks about the monkeys who climb the tree and then someone sprays a hose on them, and then over time they replace the original monkeys, and people so it's just kind of new monkeys that are in there that have never known that the hose will going on them, and then they just see monkeys pulling people down because no one wants you to get that big basket of bananas that are at the top. No one's expecting that. But if you can actually get that basket of bananas, it's you, like you said, you're into that world of unknown. I call it, you go full Elsa, and you basically be like, what the hell was I thinking all this time when I was telling myself, no, I couldn't do it. No, I couldn't do it. Oh crap, I'm going to try it. It's going to fail. I'm going to suck at it. And then holy shit, it actually worked. And that feeling of looking back at your life of what are all the other things I screwed up on along the way is a real shock to your whole nervous system. I experienced it a little bit ago, probably about 2 or 3 years ago, when I started doing better and better in life. I realized, holy crap, I stopped myself from so many things for so long that if I just said, screw it, I'm going to go for it. And if I fail, whatever. But it's better than not doing it at all. My world opened up. Now I started different businesses. I've started other different things, other different projects. And I just say, let's just do it and see what happens. And so many people are too fearful of even starting that they can never get to their desired state of happiness.
Yeah, I agree. And what you said makes a lot of sense, Alex, because, when we're children, a lot of times we fail, or maybe we didn't have the best role model. Maybe a teacher told you couldn't do something. So we're constantly being bombarded with people who maybe expect us to fail from their own insecurities,
right?
And so a lot of times people, one thing you said, I just wanted to say, I don't necessarily agree with. I don't think everybody expects you to fail. I think that if you have really good people in your corner that can champion you, I think that's great. But there are a lot of people who will expect you, but it's not everybody.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say, instead of everyone thinks that you're going to fail, no one expects you to be super, super successful. Very few.
I have friends who expect that of me.
All right, well, that's good. You're better friends than I am.
Yeah. Surround yourself with people who lift you up.
Right, and that's exactly kind of.
If you have friends that are, Debbie Downer or whatever, that are always, I'm like, don't judge them, just move on.
Right.
Surround yourself with people who are like-minded, that, believe in you and you believe in them and you support each other. That support system is huge.
Right. One of the things I've read along the way, and I don't know if you'll agree with this either, is that I learned quickly who to cut out of my life that's stopping me from hitting my goals. And not necessarily cutting them out of never talking to them again, but if I only have 24 hours in a day and I want to work 8 to 10 to 12 to 14 hours of it of work, and I only have, what is that left? 9 or 10 hours of sleep or life, I have to make sure that time is very valuable in regards to who I spend it with or who I communicate with. And I realized along the way that there's so many people in my world that are great people, but are not necessarily people that's getting me to where I want to go in my goals, or they're not supporting me in my effort to change. And they want to keep me in the box that where they perceive me to be or where they want me to be. And so in the perspective for me, it's been very good tunnel vision to kind of get to my goals faster. But what I also realized was that tunnel vision also can turn people off too.
So that's why
That's a great answer. That's a great answer. But I mean, so many people that are small business owners, they care about what people's feelings are. And I want to make sure I don't hurt someone because, or I don't want to step out of line. And they never can, they kind of become wallflowers in their own business. And they can never really stand out. As a business owner, you need to stand out. You need to differentiate yourself. Every business book will tell you that you need to differentiate yourself from your business. You need to make sure that people know who you are, but so few people are actually willing to go out there and say, here's who I am, here's what I believe in, and here's what I want to do for you. That's why it's great to have a life coach like Carol to say, listen, I'm going to challenge you. And I'm gonna make sure that you do this stuff. I'm gonna hold you accountable because again, most small business owners, we say this every week, is on their own island. They don't think that way. They're in their own bubble. They need someone to kind of every so often and say, you got to change things. And that's why I like talking to Carol is that she is someone that I can say, hey, what are your thoughts? And she'll give me an honest answer.
Yeah, I mean, I tell people, you're not hiring me to stroke your ego. You know, I'm not here to agree with your belief system. I'm here to push you outside of that comfort zone and to push yourself to greatness. The type of coaching that I do is called coactive coaching. And what that means is, okay, I'm coaching you, Alex. I already know that you're amazing. I already know that you have everything you need to create whatever you want. I don't hold you in a place that there's anything wrong with you. I just help you uncover and really understand what you already know.
Right.
So when you hold people in that kind of place where you just think they're incredible and it's not BS, it's real.
Yeah.
They get it. And that transfers and they go, God, I am awesome, you know. And it's not an ego aggrandizement thing. It's just that confidence to know that you can have whatever you say you want as long as you let go of those limiting beliefs and you make wise choices as far as who you surround yourself with. I mean, if you have something great happen, do you have someone that you can call and they say, oh my God, that's fantastic? I just think that, you know, they really champion you. Or do you sometimes call somebody and they go, yeah, but what about this? You know, how do you feel if that happens? You feel like you've been just like somebody burst your bubble.
Exactly. Now to answer your question on that, I have a list of about 25 people you can send a letter to about how amazing I am. So I appreciate you volunteering to do that. But when it comes to, as a small business owner, nothing will get done unless the mindset is right. Is that you have to have that mindset. And I think that so many people are timid in life, and so they're even more timid in the business because now there's zeros attached to it. There's family paychecks that are attached to it. And so if you can actually step out, you're going to cause, every successful business owner, no matter who you are, has caused waves in their industry, in their local community. They do that for a reason. Is it turns people's heads, and you're going to find people that agree with you right away. You're going to find people that are turned off from it. But those people are probably never going to do business with you anyways, because you're going to find over time, you're just wasting your time trying to coax them along. And so I learned from reading many books and understanding things is that even when you turn someone wrong, our natural ability in our mind is, I got to prove that person that doesn't like me wrong. I got to overdo myself and over energize myself to say, hey, Carol might not like me, so let me be really super nice to Carol so she's going to eventually come around and like me again. Where you're wasting your time on Carol, not you, I'm just using an example, but you're wasting your time on that person, where that time, that valuable time that you have, could be better suited to find more people that believe in your business, believe in your ideology, and believe in your structure to grow your business. And I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to step back just for a second, because I think the number one key ingredient in being successful in what you do is having passion for what you do.
Yeah.
Because people can feel passion. And when you're excited about what you do and you love what you do, people feel it, and they want to hire you. They want to be around you. And so I think that's number one. As far as getting people to like you, I think it's important to get you to like you, way more important than to get other people to like you. Now, we're talking about business right now, too.
Right.
So it's a little bit different, but because I do coach a lot of people who are so into pleasing others that they negate themselves, right?
Absolutely.
So it's not about people pleasing. It's about communicating, because it's all about communication, right? Communicating with people where you offer them something that they need, right?
Right.
You offer them something that they need, and they want to feel good that you are offering them this product or whatever it is, and that they're gonna have some results, right?
Right.
They're gonna have some kind of great result, and it's in some way gonna make their life better, right? So that's what it's about. But if you're not congruent, or if you don't have integrity, or if you don't believe what you're trying to sell, it may work for a while, but it's not going to work for the long run. Because the more you are grounded in who you are and have that passion, people are going to feel it. They're going to want what you have to offer, and they're going to say, "Yeah, I gotta get what Alex is offering here, because I can." They may not say this, but they're feeling it. Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense. So, Carol, how do you manage failure?
How do I manage failure? I'm constantly working on myself. I have people that I can talk to, because, I'm a human being and I'm not perfect with all my issues. We all have issues. But when I recognize that I'm up against the belief, a self-limiting belief that is keeping me from having whatever it is I say I want, then I take a look at that belief, and I may discuss it with, I probably have 2 or 3 people that I really trust. And I say, okay, so I keep running up against this roadblock with this. And so what do you think? Because you know me pretty well. What do you think I'm doing? What do you think, would assist me in moving past this? And I also know, because I've been doing this a long time, I know what most of my issues are, and I know that if they come up, um, a couple of things, I may be out of balance, like I'm working too much, I'm not playing enough, maybe I'm not eating right, because those throw you off, all those things. And if I'm doing that, I'm out of balance, and then things go sideways pretty quickly. So I double check myself and think, okay, this is what I need to do for myself right now. Maybe it's just go be in nature and do some breathing, or, whatever it is you do to relax. So I check myself, and then I come back renewed, and I move forward. And I recognize when I have a fear about moving forward on something, and I talk to that fear, and I say, okay, I know you're there. Good example. I know you're there. I know you've got some fear of doing this. I'm going to take that fear. I'm going to put it up on the bookshelf right now. Don't worry, I can grab it back whenever I want. But for now, it doesn't get to be with me. It's up on that shelf. And then I move forward. So that's just kind of an example of what I would do for myself and what I might do for my clients as well.
What I've seen is in failure, it's because you weren't planned or communicative with the people around you, your gang of people, enough to say, hey, here's what I'm thinking. And one of the things I kind of developed about 3 or 4 years ago was a completely brutally honest group of people where I know that I can be, people can say, Alex, you're an F and a-hole when you do this, and or
Yep.
when you say this. And because I'm the type of person, because I have tunnel vision on my goals, is I'm the type of person where I don't look at the peripherals. I am super focused on what I'm trying to do, my A to B to C to D to E to get the job done. And when I say something, I know that it can come across abrasive. So I need, in my level of checks and balances, is I need to plug in people who say, Alex, that was a stupid thing to say, or Alex, you did something stupid, because I appreciate the directness of that. But the problem I also learned is some people don't like directness. Some people like the hand holding. And so I have to now, with other people, figure out how to be really sweet and honest and try and get my point across by still being direct and staying true to who I am. But in regards to failure, I find that most of the times I'm failing is because I didn't have my goal set as concretely as I wanted to, and I didn't have someone to say, Alex, where are you at point A? Where are you at point B? Where are you at point C? And that's what's great about having a life coach like Carol, is that she can be that plug and play to say, all right, here are your goals. Here's your A, B, C, D. Where are you on that? Because very few people in your sphere of influence are going to take on that responsibility. It's like your
Right.
wife. Your wife's not going to say, Alex, you're adding some weight a little bit. You might want to get to the gym. You might want to take a walk once in a year. And and try and lose some weight, because you're not like the man I married 15 years ago. You need someone in your life that will have that brutally honest conversation. Your people, your friends, your family, they're designed to keep you in your comfort zone. That's why they're your friends and family. That's because no one wants to have you really stretch outside of it. They want to keep you encapsulated to where you are. And so
Yep.
what I noticed in my fear of failure is I have not had that person or that thing check me. And I think that as small business owners, that's what we really need to get, is the person in your life, whether it's a Carol or you just develop that brutal, honest conversation with other people to be like, hey, I need to be told, here's my A, did you hit it? And why didn't you hit it?
Yep. Also, in regards to failure, sometimes it's not really a failure. We think it might be a failure, but I call it like a detour. And so you may be, working toward your goal, whatever that is, and then you kind of get sidetracked and you think, oh God, I failed. But you can learn something by that detour. So maybe you come back even stronger because you're learning along the journey of what it takes. And by taking this detour, you had the ability to learn something new about yourself or the way you interact or whatever it may be. And then you come back and you go, okay, got it. Now I know that. So I'm going to move forward. So sometimes it's not really a failure. It's just a little learning detour.
So we talked about failure and all that type of stuff. How, as a business owner, who probably you're not the only life coach in the Southern California area, right?
No.
You're not the only nutritionist in the Southern California area. I hear there's a lot of them around here, at least.
Yeah.
How do you differentiate yourself?
Well, I differentiate myself because a lot of nutritionists are not life coaches and vice versa. So if people come to me and they say, hey, I know I need to get my diet in check and I have no idea how I should eat, what I should eat, and they come to me, and maybe they have an autoimmune disease starting or something like that. So we start working on the nutrition part to get their physical body in a better shape. But what they notice pretty early on, like usually by the second phone call, it's more than just what they're eating.
Yeah.
It's how they're eating, how they're not digesting life, how they're, and so I think that is one of the biggest things that differentiates me, is because I'm trained in both areas and they go hand in hand. And the other thing that differentiates, that's an easy word to say, Carol, me from a lot of people, is that I have interviewed some of the best experts in the world on my radio show, 200 plus shows, and I am constantly studying nutrition and human nature. And I'm interviewing these great doctors and other people that I'm always learning from. And nutrition, human nature doesn't really change. That is kind of a constant. Yeah, we hit kind of ebbs and flows depending on what's happening in the environment. But nutrition changes. And we're learning more and more, about the microbiome and how your gut is connected to your brain and all of that. So I keep up on all of that. I watch all the latest summits. I interview people. And I think that it makes me on the cutting edge of the best information available.
So, I want to unpack a couple things here, because you said, you have you actually have a few things that differentiate yourself. And it's amazing when I talk to plumbers or contractors or any type of small business owner. That's one of the main questions I ask, is what differentiates yourself? And that's the hardest thing small business owners respond to, is they don't know. And so they don't have that unique selling proposition that would be like, okay, this is why if I had a list of 10 plumbers or 10 lawyers or 10 whatever, here's why, outside of, I have really good customer service, I really care about people, and I treat everyone like family. Great. That's what everyone is going to say. You have to have something that has passion behind it, as we talked about it before, and you have to have something that is really going to be like, wow, that is different. And so I appreciate the fact that you have been able to say, here's what differentiates myself. I have a podcast that has well over 200 shows. I have had some of the best of the best. Can you tell me a little bit of who you've had on your podcast?
Well, we were just talking before we got on air of one of my biggest shows was when I interviewed Jean-Michel Cousteau, who's Jacques Cousteau's son. And that was probably about 6 years ago. But I get some of, I don't know if you know who these people are, like Dr. Dale Bredesen. He wrote a book called The End of Alzheimer's. And it's cutting edge information on how not only to reverse osmosis, but prevent it. It's the latest and greatest information. And Dr. William Davis, he wrote the book Wheat Belly, How to Reverse Heart Disease. Dr. Tom O'Brien, in my world, he's huge. He's written 2 books called The Autoimmune Fix, which autoimmune disease is rampant right now. And his second book was How to Fix Your Brain in 10 Minutes or Less a Week. So it's just very practical stuff, but these guys are well known. Dr. Vandana Shiva, she is from India, and she's probably one of the leading food activists in the world who talks about clean food. Zen Honeycutt, Moms Across America, probably one of the top 10 people in the world talking about Roundup and glyphosate and genetically modified food and educating about that. So I have all that on the site, which is great. Because you can actually go, I hate to say this, but you could go to my site, and if you watch a whole bunch of the shows, you could create great health just from watching the podcasts or listening to the podcast. So,
and I think that's kind of interesting. And another unique selling proposition about you is that you offer the content for free. I mean, you can listen to your content, and that's what we do also with the Total BS Show and Prime Media Consulting. Is that we realized that we are all junkies when it comes to content. You just have to find what your addiction is. Some people it's health and nutrition addiction. Some people it's motivational speaking addiction. Some people it's business addiction, and some people it's how to be the best chess player. Whatever it is, there's content that the experts are willing to give you, because at the end of the day, you're building the goodwill out there. So then when they have a need that might not be able to be answered right away, they're going to go to you. So I challenge the small business owners all the time is, what content are you willing to give away? Is if everyone's holding their cards way too close to their chin and way too close to their chest to be like, I don't want to give this away because then they won't pay me. But I'm like, well, what if you give it away and you get 100 people? They're like, wow, that was awesome. What else do you have? And I think that most small business owners, it's part of their timid nature is to say, I want to give as much content as I possibly can to you. So then you're going to choose me when I have another decision to make of, do I choose option A, option B, or option C, or this person? Well, this person was able to help me out with this program or this idea 6 months ago when I was watching a podcast for him. I'm going to watch this, or her. I'm going to watch this. I'm going to go with that person because they gave me something. And I think that there's a lot of business sense that in your industry and my industry that's universal, even for everyone, is you need to give content away to draw the audience to then have them choose you. It's the Field of Dreams model.
Absolutely. And do you know who Bill Behrens is?
No, I haven't met my buddy Bill yet. I haven't met him yet. I can't wait to meet him one day. I haven't. No.
No, he is. He's a coach, and if you were going to hire him for you personally, it would cost you about $50,000. He's like the coach's coach. Anyway, I took some of his courses, and one thing that he taught me is you have to give people way more than they expect, and that is my goal. I make myself available on email. I love what I do so much that I just do more and more of it. And if somebody really needs me and I can arrange it and we don't have a scheduled time, and I'll just go, yeah, let's do it. I want people to go, wow, she gave me way more than I expected, or I learned way more than I expected.
Right. So
do you agree?
Oh, 100%. I mean, that's one of the foundations that we had was, I come from an industry when I was working for somebody that this was your package. You got option A, option B, option C, and you have this for a whole year, good, bad, or ugly, you're stuck with it. And I said, fundamentally, that's stupid. Is we need to have something that's customizable, that can be changed, that can be tweaked, that can be edited at any given time. It's the internet. We can do it the next day if we want to. But it had an old, outdated model that I just had to take that model and update it to today's world. And it's luckily been a good hit of success so far. But I believe the answer in that is we have to make sure that we're providing more value. So when a customer comes to Prime Media Consulting, or just like you said with Food Integrity Now, is that when you get us, it's not just we're going to be the person that builds you a website, or we're going to be the person that continually optimizes the website or things like that. You're getting a marketing department. You're getting someone that's going to come to you and be like, hey, here's what we have. Here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to take care of you. And it's hard to leave that. It's the stickiness factor. You have to have something sticky in your business if you have a product or service that's a continual need. If you're building a roof, you probably don't need something as sticky because they're not going to come to you next year for a roof unless there's tremendous damage. But if you have a business model that relies on an annual renewal or a monthly renewal or whatever it is, you got to have the unique selling proposition. You got to have the conviction behind it, and you have to have the stickiness factor of they're not going to get this anywhere else.
Right, right. And I just feel like I have the best job in the world because I get to assist people to have a better quality of life.
Right.
I mean, isn't that what we all want?
Yes.
We want a great quality of life. And so that's my end product.
So
quality of life.
So what is the most meaningful part of your job?
Seeing people change and seeing people create more joy in their life, seeing people who are sick get better, seeing people who had no clue about what they were eating and the chemicals they were putting in their body. And when that light bulb goes off and they're going, oh my God, this makes total sense. No wonder my immune system is in the tank, So I love educating. So just having people realize that, first of all, that they can take everything, that they can be self-empowered by their choices now that they have this education, and that they can, create whatever it is they want to create, whether they want to lose weight, whether they want a better relationship, no matter what it is. So it's just so gratifying to me to have people be happier and more well.
And for the people that are watching this, I have Carol Grieve from Food Integrity Now. And Carol, if they wanted to reach you, you're not here for your health. You're here to also promote yourself. So how can people reach you?
They can reach me at carol@foodintegritynow.org. And you can go to my website. You can email me from there, or you can also text me at 415-302-7100. And all that information's on the website too, foodintegritynow.org.
Awesome. And so I want to pull back to your younger years, which is only probably about 5 or 10 years ago.
Yeah, right.
If you could give advice to your younger self, what would it be now? Of all the things that you learned since you've been coaching?
You're amazing. You're awesome. Love yourself. Don't take what other people say about you as truth, and do what you love with passion.
Now, do you feel that people at your age told you that and you just didn't listen?
No.
Okay.
They did not. I have 6 brothers and sisters, very competitive, successful mom and dad, everybody doing the best, but a lot of craziness and not a lot of encouragement.
So I think a lot of people I grew up in the everyone gets a trophy age. And so you grew up in a different world than I did, is I was told I'm great, I'm awesome, all that type of stuff that you want to hear. And that kind of falls also on deaf ears. There has to be, as someone that experienced that, I know I'm awesome, obviously. But
I know too.
Oh, thank you. But at the end of the day, I mean, what's funny is that we're telling kids this stuff now, which is things that you craved as a child, and you wish you would have told your younger self, is now being shared, and we're not hearing it. Is that I could tell my daughter, my son, how great he is, and it's just dad telling me how great I am. And yes, that's great because dad tells me that, but there has to be something that's underlying that feeling that they can equate to really resonate with. And so I think you're amazing when you do this. I think you're amazing how you're able to do this. It's the way that parents have just said, yeah, you're great, you're awesome, congratulations, great job. And those words of affirmation, those words of encouragement falls on deaf ears unless you can tie it to a specific thing as a kid. Otherwise, they're going to be told, yeah, I was told great, I'm still suck.
Yeah.
And
well, they're going to learn a whole lot more by watching you than what you say to them.
Right.
Just so you know. And so, because I do coach parents, because I did that for years. And one of the things that I tell them is enjoy your life, work on yourself, do what you love, and your kids are going to see that and they're going to emulate that. And if you're positive and you're kind to other people and passionate and respectful, your kids are going to see that and they're going to be that too. And they're going to have self-esteem. Because there's a lot of parents who, this is from my experience, that they want so much for their kids that they give them everything, and they want to do everything for them rather than have the kids do stuff for themselves, and they enable them. And so therefore the kids, their self-confidence is in the tank because they don't have to do anything because mom's over there doing it for them.
Absolutely.
So it's about taking responsibility, letting them fail from time to time without making them bad or wrong because they made a mistake. Talk about the learning. Okay, what'd you learn by that? So that wasn't a very wise choice. So what do you think will help you not make this mistake next time? And kind of put, I don't want to use the word punishment because I don't agree with punishment. I think of more of a natural consequence. So it's like, if you do this, so what do you think your consequence should be?
Absolutely.
You ask them.
Yeah.
And it works. And that way, because if a child does something wrong and you make them bad and wrong and punish them, they don't really learn from the mistake. What they learn is, I'm a bad person.
Right. It's like you putting the dog's head on a pea spot. Is that?
Yeah.
It just.
Yeah.
Like
Shaming doesn't work. Shaming, blaming. Yeah, they have to be guided. You're here to guide them, right?
Yeah.
But do it in a way where you're not punishing, where there's natural consequences, and enjoy your life and have them watch you enjoy your life.
I think the cool thing about what I see with parents that are small business owners is that we tried the tough love in the 70s and the 60s and the 50s and in the 80s and then in the mid 80s we said, okay, now we're going to go to the everyone gets a trophy. So the kids that grew up in the 90s and early 2000s is everyone is getting a trophy, everyone's great, everyone's amazing. You don't learn that there's winners and losers in life, and because everyone gets a trophy. But now the parents that I see that are growing up are kind of boomeranging back to trying to find a common balance of tough love and support. And I think it's really cool to see a lot of the millennial kids trying to get things right of, I want to understand your feelings, I want to understand who you are as a person, but at the end of the day, there's a winner and loser, there's a right and a wrong. You have to be one of the two. And there may be some gray area, but you have to understand that when you dip in the gray, there might be some punishments or consequences that come with the decisions that you make.
Yeah, well, it's just teaching kids to really realize that every choice you make is important, and there's going to be a consequence for that choice. And it's either going to be a positive one or a not so positive one. So, just teach them how, or guide them to make more positive choices. And they learn, you can say stuff to them all day long, but if you're not walking the walk, they're watching you, and that's what they're learning.
So, Carol, a couple more questions because I know we're running out of time here with our show. How do you treat yourself when you hit your goals?
When I hit my goal?
When you hit your goals.
What hit my goal? Okay, this is really, really important. I truly believe that we need to celebrate more our successes. So if I achieved something, rather than just going, wow, that's great, I made it, now what's next? I really want to celebrate my accomplishment. And, by celebrating, I'm not talking about going out and getting drunk. I'm talking about celebrating. It doesn't mean it doesn't include wine, because with me it would.
I've heard about your ladies' nights.
Yeah, anyway, but to celebrate your accomplishments and really be proud of yourself for every step of the way. And don't immediately go, done, move on. Celebrate it, because I think when you celebrate it, you kind of cement that accomplishment in your body and in your life. And then after you've celebrated, then you can do whatever, you want to achieve next, because there's always new things to celebrate.
It's funny you say that, because I say the same things to my kids as I say to business owners that I talk to. Is when they accomplish something, you have a lot of people that say, yeah, but, like we talked about earlier, I will be the first person that will champion their success, and I'll be like, are you proud of yourself? Are you happy that you did that? And because those type of people, when you say those type of words, it resonates with them. They're like, holy shit, I actually did do that. Yeah, I accomplished it, but now what does that mean? What does it mean when you got your 10th sale of the month and that's been your goal forever, is to get, if I can just get 10 and you finally nailed it, are you proud of yourself? And then celebrate that moment, but then figure out, okay, now what's the next goal? Is that...
Yeah. But don't diminish the celebration. And I think one of the best ways to celebrate, and this may not make sense, but people might want to try this, go out and do something you've never done before.
Sure.
Yeah. Just do something unique that you've never done. Maybe push yourself a little, but have that energy of just celebrating by doing something new and different, because it really works.
Absolutely. Once you stretch your comfort zone in one area and you hit that goal, now you feel like you can defeat the world. Tackle that thing that you've always been afraid of. Say, I can do that now because I did this.
Yep.
I love it. So
right.
How are you, with coronavirus and all that type of stuff, it's the elephant in the room every week. We talk about it now because I think you have to. How are you harnessing technology?
Do we really?
Yeah. We talked about how you're using Skype and Zoom a little bit more. What else are you doing with technology to really kind of get your name and number out there? Because you can't really network like you used to. I know you were spearheading many different events in the neighborhood that we live in now. But what do you do now to kind of get people to know who you are, who might have not otherwise known you?
Well, I think it's important to make yourself the expert in your field, so that when people are thinking about, I need a life coach or I need a nutritionist. Oh, I know this woman. I see she's out there. She's doing all these things. So in my community in La Cresta, I'm content coordinator for a new magazine called Plateau Views Magazine. They're seeing me there. I'm writing some articles on health and nutrition in there, as well as other articles. We started, you and I kind of co-do the Plateau Business Association. So my name is out there. I'm really good friends with Kelly Smith, LaCresta.com, and everybody knows Kelly, and I'm working with her a couple days a week. And so I'm diversifying myself.
Right.
I'm getting myself out there doing other things when I'm not coaching, and I'm doing my radio show. So my name is known in the foodie world. I've already got that out there, but I want to be more known in my community.
Okay. So I'm going to push you on the spot. What's the big goal? What's the big goal to hold you accountable for 2020?
What goal is holding me accountable? I guess assisting more people get healthy. And I think with the coronavirus, it's never been more important than right now to have a really healthy immune system.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, I think this coronavirus, we haven't seen the last of it. So with any virus, if you have a healthy immune system that can fight it off, you may get a little sick, but you'll be able to just deal with it and get well. But if your immune system is depleted, that's not going to work with these mutated viruses. So
absolutely.
It's just really about, and I'm not just talking about physically healthy, emotionally, mentally. It's all connected. You got to be all of it.
Absolutely. I will say, as we wrap up, I did venture out into vegetables land this last week. I messaged Carol on Friday. I said, look at my plate of all vegetables. How great is that? And then her response was,
I think it's great.
is it organic? I'm like, baby steps, Carol, baby steps.
Yeah, it is, and I never shame anybody, but because I know that for a lot of people, I mean that's a big step, right?
Absolutely.
To have more vegetables in your diet. But then the next step would be buy some organic vegetables because it's great that you're eating vegetables, but you're going to get more nutrition from organic vegetables, and you're not going to get as many pesticides or chemicals, which are going to counteract some of the health benefits. So it's worth the money. Pay a little bit more, buy local, eat local, and you're going to feel differently. And when you feel great, you look great, your business is great. It's just all connected.
Awesome. Well, I wanted to thank Carol. Carol, one more time, can you please tell us who you are and how people can reach you?
Okay, Carol Grieve, Food Integrity Now, foodintegritynow.org. If you sign up on my website, you will get, I don't inundate people with emails. You'll just get an email when I do a new show, and I'm going to be doing a really great one about your immune system next week with a doctor. And or email me, Carol at foodintegritynow.org. Text me at 415-302-7100. I offer a 15-minute free consultation to see if we're a fit and you like what I have to offer you. And that's it. So thank you, Alex.
Well, absolutely. Thank you so much, Carol, for joining us this week. Next week, we're going to dive into more BS, Business Spotlight that is, with Michelle Meents and David Meents from Clean Bee. They're a local carpet cleaning and tile restoration company in the Chicagoland area. So we're so excited. Thank you so much for joining us. I can't wait to have you next week to join us again to learn more about another local business. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Thanks, Alice. Thanks, everyone.